So we all strive in our own unique ways to be mighty military spouses, and we all develop skills along the way to help us navigate this lifestyle. So what we're here to talk about today is reaching for your rucksack and how we all reach for our rucksack as military spouses. So my first question for you is, what do you think every mighty military spouse should have in their imaginary rucksack to help manage this lifestyle? Who wants to jump in first?
I would say a power of attorney. I use my power of attorney all the time. I don't know about you guys, but I pull that out to register my cars, to get the kids enrolled in school. And I know that sounds, we tell people make sure you have access to that when they're deployed. But even when they're not deployed, just having the capability to handle the household daily things that I need to take care of. For me, that is key and essential.
So Dawn goes practical. So does anyone have anything that's a skill or a lesson that you rely on and call upon in keeping your rucksack to help you, with all the challenges we face, with the moves, with the deployments, and everything that military spouses must deal with?
I think mad research skills. If you ask any military spouse something, they're going to know it. They're going to know where to find it. We are like the original Siri or Alexa. So I think it's good for every spouse to have honed those research skills.
For sure. Did you have something, Amy?
I would say your faith, faith in your God, that you can pray with others and for others and your friends. You make friends quickly, very quickly, and I think that that's essential, just having those people around you and to rely on your faith.
You have to have a sense of humor. If you cannot laugh at things, then you will go crazy. You have to be able, with the moves and the kids and everything changing all the time, you have orders here and next day you have orders somewhere else. You just have to have a sense of humor and be able to roll with it and laugh at it, right? Or right, exactly.
And along those same lines, you have to be flexible. Military is going to throw a lot of curves at you, so just expect the unexpected. They always say, use the semper gumby. Be flexible.
I just want to add to that is I think that sometimes spouses need to give themselves a break. Like if you feel like crying and you feel like blow up, get it out, and then grab your big girl panties, put them back on, and then go the next day. I think that falls into flexibility, but I think all too often people don't give themselves enough credit that, hey, it's okay if we have a breakdown or a meltdown, and just grab them back on and go.
So obviously, along the way, we've all learned a lot of coping skills, because that's what a lot of what we're talking about here. So what is your best advice for a younger or less experienced spouse who's just starting out in this life and has yet to contend with some of these challenges?
Mine is to get involved. I mean, when you get to the duty station, search out, find out what you can do to get involved immediately. And we as more senior spouses should go to those younger spouses and encourage them to get involved, because there's so many great individuals on these installations, so many great spouses, and a lot of we all have unique skills. So and put us all together. I mean, we can do a lot of good. A lot of good for the installation, a lot of good for the community. So that's my big one and I always encourage newer spouses. As soon as you get there, get involved immediately. It's a little intimidating at first, but as soon as you start meeting some people, then it's a lot easier, and you want to get more involved then.
Yeah, for sure.
I think to add to that is to know what's on the post or the base or wherever you are. Know what's there. Find out what is there that can be used to help you if you need anything at all, because more than likely they're going to have it, or they're going to know where to send you to get it. But if you don't do the research to find out what's there, then you might just be sitting in your house alone and wondering how you can get the help you need.
One thing that I've found is that I wish I'd been told to appreciate people for who they are.
There are going to be a lot of different types of personalities you run into, and a lot of things that people are good at or that you're good at, and you can appreciate different ways of doing things. And I think the sooner you do that, the more diverse kind of your world becomes. Like, everybody's not good at the same thing, and you're not all from the same places. And to appreciate the parts that they bring into your life, I think it helps a lot. And it makes, like, I don't know, when you have the volunteer projects, things like that, meeting people where they are and seeing what they have to offer is a big thing.
Right. Kind of piggybacking on that theme, what do you know now that you wish you had known years ago when you were first starting out as a military spouse? Not that we're that old, but.
So I wish coming in that I had managed my expectations a lot better. We're not what you see on the TV screen. You know, we have a great life, you know, I feel, but it does come with its challenges. And to come into this type of lifestyle and think that every day is going to be great, that your spouses are going to work 9 to 5 and come home, or they'll go into the field or whatever, and you know, come home at night, or whatever the case, and whatever you came into this lifestyle thinking, you have to let that go and kind of roll with the punches, and give yourself, you know, credit for being tough, and also credit when you break down, because it's okay. It's okay.
And don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's one that, we need to encourage newer spouses. We have a friend here at the War College who gave an example. When she was younger, her husband deployed, she had to mow the grass. She didn't know how to start the mower. And instead of going and asking somebody, she kept struggling and trying to get it to, trying to get the mower to work. So don't be afraid to go ask your neighbor for help. Or if if you're looking for things on post, what you had talked about, doing the research, somebody else has probably already done it. So don't be afraid to ask somebody where something is, or the best place to shop, something like that, because all of us together, I mean, we're a collective wealth of knowledge. So tap into that.
I agree, and you can definitely find so many different types of people on your base who can help you with different things that are incoming to you, whether it's a problem or just giving support to somebody. Making those connections with people, and realizing that there are so many people out there that you can turn to and count on when times are tough, or when you're out of the country, or not near family members, just having somebody there to count on.
And going along with managing expectations, there's no right way to do being a military spouse. I thought there was a certain way I had to act or had to be in front of certain people, or, when I was younger, and there's not. I learned there's so many different people out there that have amazing ways to do things, and you see it, just things from a different perspective. So there's no right way to do anything to be a military spouse. There's no perfect military spouse. Like, we are who we are, and we all have wonderful flaws and wonderful perfections, and that's okay.
And for how many of us has military life turned out to be exactly what we thought it would be? Probably no one. Okay, so what are the top characteristics, though? And I do believe that because of our shared experiences as military spouses, that there are some top characteristics that we all develop in one way or another. How would you describe the military spouses that you know?
I think they're all positive. I meet so many people who are just like eternal optimists, and that rubs off on me. I can walk outside and see somebody smiling. It just makes you feel better about the rest of your day. And I just think being positive is really important.
I think we're very courageous. It takes a lot to pick up and move. And, you're meeting new people. So to walk into any new area with your head high, and be able to extend your hand and say, hello, my name is, such and such, and make that place wherever you are a home, and embrace the people and the environment around you is huge.
Sure. And it's a challenge that most people maybe only face a few times in their life, if at all. And military spouses tend to do it every 2 to 3 years on average, right? So because of those stresses, what are some things that have helped you get through stressful parts in your journey as a military spouse?
Humor. I think probably every one of us has a humorous story, and I always say that every good story starts with that one time when my spouse was deployed. There's there's always a story, and it may not be funny at the time, but when you look back on it, it sometimes can be pretty funny. So I think we've all probably developed some sense of humor in this life.
I think with this too, I grew up nothing to do with the military at all. So this was a whole new ball game. So the friends that I had when in the church nursery were the people I graduated high school and college with. So to have friends that I now have all over the world, so I would say friendships and true friendships that really get it. Because I love my home friends, my North Carolina friends. I love them. But there's something to be said about my military friends that know exactly where I'm coming from when I say, well, they changed the orders. Oh, yeah. Or we've lost 3 crates. I mean, there's something about that other people don't get. So I'd say I have to have my friends.
Well, then how do you maintain a positive outlook when you are faced with those challenges that you have to pull through? Like, what do you rely on most? Is it your faith? Is it your family? Or is it something else altogether?
I try to, this sounds silly, but not overextend myself. I feel like sometimes you get to a new place and just starting over and making friends, and you sometimes find yourself thrown into situations where you have just too much on your plate. And I think sometimes it's okay to back off a little bit, to maintain your health, to maintain your family roles and how your family is functioning. And I think there have been times where I've been able to do that and kind of reset so that I'm better for my community, I'm better for my family, and I can, face different things that are coming my way.
Anyone have anything they want to add there? Okay. So what resources do you consider invaluable? For me personally, it's the internet. I mean, I wonder how military spouses survived before we were able to research things on the internet. But is there something in particular that you find yourself relying on a routine basis as a military spouse?
ACS, Army Community Service. Every time I get to a new base, I go and look at Army Community Service and see what they have available in the community. It's a good starting place for me, and I'm able to work with a lot of spouses through them.
And one of the things I like to do is every town I move to, they always have a Chamber of Commerce. And you can go down there and you can get so much community information from the Chamber of Commerce. And like a Convention and Visitors Bureau, they have all the activities that you can do. And it's such a great a way to get involved in the community as well.
Anyone else have a good tip like that? Those are great ideas. Okay, so we mentioned before being flexible. And what are, I think, adapting to change is the one constant of military life. What are your tips when it comes to being flexible and adapting to change? Do you have ways that you've developed that skill in your life?
I think just keeping things in perspective. My husband and I always try and talk it out and be like, okay, how big of a deal is this really that things have changed again? Or we've dealt with this before, right? We've been here, and we tell our kids, like, in the grand scheme of things, how much is this going to affect our lives or not affect our lives, really? And so we just try and keep things calm and in perspective so that we don't lose sight of the bigger picture.
That's great advice. I do believe that there's a tendency among military spouses and people in general to dwell on the things that you give up in order to be part of the military community. But I also believe that there are things that we all gain as being part of the military community. So what are the things that you feel you have gained as part of this community?
Being around such diverse people with so many different skills, um, you can just really pick up on different things that people are good at, like someone was saying, or Amy was saying earlier, and just having that availability, like getting to meet so many different people from all over the world.
Well, with us moving so much, sometimes you have the opportunity to work in a job that pays you with money, and sometimes you have the ability to volunteer your time and you're paid in other ways. And so I didn't know I would ever be able to do some of the volunteer activities that I've gotten to do. I didn't know I had it in me. I didn't know I had it in my kit bag because do you want to run a consignment sale? Well, I don't know if I can or not. Or do you want to be part of these huge FRG projects or put a carnival together? I didn't know I had that in me. So I think that has brought a whole different skill set that I've gotten to experiment with and change and really grow to love.
I would just also add that by us having the ability to move around, if you move from California to New York to Florida to the Midwest, we're getting to interact with so many different people all over the United States, and you're getting the cultural experience of all those different ways. So it makes us more well-rounded and more, if I was hiring a military spouse, I'd be like, yes, she's lived 10 different places because she's been able to interact with people all over the world and gets a more worldly opinion and view of things.
Okay. Deployments are a big part of what we deal with as military spouses. What are your top tips for dealing with deployments?
Don't watch the news.
Yeah, know when to turn the news off. I agree. Sometimes you have to know to turn that off for a little bit, take a break from watching every little second.
And I think too, to find something for yourself during that time to really throw yourself after, whether you want to get fit or you want to go back to school, whatever it is, find something for you to keep you busy and keep your mind off of the deployment. I think it makes the deployment a whole lot longer mentally, if you're sitting and watching, the calendar days go by. But when you're busy, the time goes by much faster. You're happier. Your phone calls with your spouse are a lot better than gloom and doom every time, you get on the phone with them.
Find a good child care provider so that you can take a break and go out and go to Starbucks, or I would just go walk around Lowe's and look for, like one time I had to go get outdoor furniture cushions, but I didn't want to take my kids with me. So I would call the sitter and have her come over, and so I could go do that alone.
And I would say also to add to that is don't be afraid to ask your neighbor, hey, let's switch childcare, dude. Let's switch. If you watch my kids, I'll watch your kids, or something. I don't think that we do that enough anymore in our general population sometimes. And I think that it's okay and understand that once you ask them, you are going to return the favor. So.
I was just going to say, don't listen to the gossip and the rumors especially bad during deployments. There'll be constant talk about where troops are at, where they're moving to, when they're coming back, and 99% of those rumors are false or wrong and subject to change. So just be careful. Don't listen to all the gossip, because there'll be plenty of it. But try to focus on what you can control back here, and not what's going on downrange.
And a little more practical, just be organized and be prepared. Know where everything is, the power of attorney, the papers you need. Just know where they are, even if you don't have to pull them out. You need to be organized. And just having your time organized, it goes by faster the busier you are, but if it's less chaotic, I think your stress level's lower, and especially when you have kids, it affects them less. The more organization and routine you can keep, I think helps the kids a lot.
Sure.
I also would make mini dates with my children and I. So in my head, it was so much easier to do one big dinner, like 12 big dinners, than 12 or 13 months. So I'd be like, okay, well, this, we did the same restaurant twice a month. And if you did that, it was kind of like these little mini celebrations. And it kind of broke it down into these chunks where, woo, we did another month. We did another month. So I think that helped. It helped me anyway, and the kids really still remember it, which is interesting. So
That's great. So how do you find the silver lining when the military throws you a curveball? Say you get orders to live in the one place that you never wanted to live, or an unexpected deployment comes up. What are your coping mechanisms for dealing with that?
I would say knowing that I'm going to meet a whole lot of wonderful spouses that are in the same boat. They likely don't want to live there either. Example, Fort Irwin. We all, nobody wanted to be there, but we ended up having an amazing coffee group. We had a great time, and that's some of the closest friends I've made. And just knowing that usually what you perceive to be the worst place in the world is going to end up being great because of the people you're going to meet.
Right.
And I think just making the choice to be optimistic and the choice to be purposeful and to go out and do these things and be positive. And it's a choice. We can have a choice to be.
Because we've all gotten that assignment
Right.
that we go, what? No.
Right.
But when we get
Right.
there, we always seem to find the good in that assignment or something good. Something always comes out of
it
it.
might not be the post or the town, or it might not be the post or the town right outside, but it might be Austin. That's fabulous that you get to go to. So, yeah, it's definitely your change of mindset can help.
Like you said, and like Sean was saying, if it's all gloom and doom when you talk to your spouse, then they don't want to call. So being positive for them, I try so hard to be the eternal idealist. So everything's going to be great, because when it's not great, it's not their fault, And I feel like so many times we project our frustration on our spouse when he's just as frustrated as we are. So when we can be positive for them, I think that's a big deal.
You hear a lot in the media about the military-civilian divide, and it's true that there are far fewer people in this country now who are connected to the military than there once were. Are there things that you believe that we as spouses can do to help bridge that divide?
Getting out in your community. I know all of us volunteer in our communities, in our churches, and I think that gives a lot of open communication between the two groups.
And finally, what are the biggest ways you feel being a military spouse has benefited you in your life?
We've gotten to live some amazing places, amazing, and we've met a lot of great people, my kids and I. So, and we get to go visit our friends in wonderful places as well.
And that's what I enjoy. I literally have friends all over the world, and I do mean world. And it's really neat when there's someone's child has a project like those flat Stanleys, and they go on the internet or email and say, hey, can you send a postcard or something? So to see those kids get postcards from everywhere. I mean, a lot of our civilian counterparts can't do that. They don't have that great reach that we do. So I think that's been the best takeaway for me is it's a big world out there, and we go home and we're in our little box, but there's so much more out there than what's in our little box.
I was just going to say it's made me realize I'm capable of more than I ever thought I was. When I married at 23, I didn't think I could be as independent and just as organized as I mentioned earlier. So it's made me see things in myself that I don't think I ever would have found if it weren't for this lifestyle.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for helping us celebrate what makes a military spouse special.